Hi there. This is Simon Middle with SMM Coaching and Consulting. I hope you guys are having a great day. Um, we are here today to talk a little bit about communication. And this is actually the first of a series of videos talking about how we break down communication and the importance of each concept, each component, but also how not only does it help us communicate better, but it actually builds trust, builds high performing teams, actually leads to better innovation and creativity in teams, as well as leading us to being able to do things that are really meaningful to the clients and customers that we serve, especially our patients. So today we're going to talk about mirroring. And when I say that, often people say, "Well, I don't want to just hear a parrot back at me," and I can understand that. And so there's a component of authenticity and honesty in what we're sharing, but also in how we're reflecting and mirroring that back. And the reason we do that is because people want to be heard, right? If the biggest fear of people is disconnection, the greatest desire of people is connection. And when we think about what connection is the sense that somebody hears me, sees me, values me, and respects me. So this is kind of a step toward that. And think about that in terms of the teams that you're part of or that you manage, or how oftentimes people just don't feel like they've been heard or that they've been seen or that they've been valued, especially when we've got different ideas and different concepts coming together to really try and figure out what's the best way to approach things. This can be very challenging. For example, I work in an environment where I do a lot of quality improvement, and so an example might be falls. We try to sit down as a team and talk about all the different components of falls. But if people don't feel like they're being heard, they typically will pull away from engaging, or they get highly emotional and push really hard to make sure they're heard. Neither one of those actually builds a sense of team, a sense of unity, a sense of collaboration. And so, in terms of mirroring, the reason we do this is really to make sure each person is heard well. So what do we mean by mirroring? Again, we're not talking about just parroting directly words. We're actually saying, am I actually hearing you? And the reason this is actually challenging is we actually go into most relationships in what we call a parallel monologue way. And when we think about parallel monologue, it's where you may have experienced it. I know I've experienced this, is where individuals are having a conversation, but they're actually preparing their next statements ahead of the next comment. So I'm trying to sort of prove myself, or I'm trying to defend myself. And so my brain is actually kicking in to say, what do I want to say next? And so even though we have words going towards each other, we're actually preparing it in a very different way. And we all know when that happens, right? We see it in the eyes of people, in the tones of people, in the body language of people. And when we do that, then what we're actually doing is saying, yeah, you got something to say, but it's really about what I have to say. And so that's when that disconnection happens. And so even though we're having a conversation, there's actually no real connection happening at that point. It also, when we go into this mirroring, it actually causes us to pause, actually think about what's being said, and actually then it changes our body language. So we're actually coming into the space differently. Um, an example of that might be, let's say you've got a team that's trying to has a deadline, trying to get some particular task done, and team members have a high stress and they're really anxious and they're just trying to move forward. In a team like that, typically there's one or two people who just drive forward and get things done, which is great in one sense, but it doesn't necessarily bring the rest of the team along to feel like they've actually contributed or engaged in what's going on. And in future teams, they actually feel less inclined to be engaged. So what we want to do is create then this environment where we take away any judgment or criticism, and in order to do that, we can hear and listen and start to understand where people are coming from. So when we mirror, we want to think about what is actually being said. So that means I have to be intentional in actually paying attention to what the other person is saying. So, for example, if somebody is trying to explain a situation they're going through, sometimes it can be overwhelming. There's a lot that comes at us. And so what we might say, so let me just can we just pause for a moment? I just want to reflect back what I've heard so far because I really want to make sure I've heard you. Just by saying that, that person can start to relax and say, okay, I don't have to get everything out. This person is giving me the space and giving me the time to actually explain what's going on. We're not just moving past that to a solution. This can be very, very difficult, but it's also very important because that person is now going to be engaged in a very, very different way. Defenses come down, there's less anxiety, and there's actually a willingness to engage in a different way. So an example of that is I deal with patients and their families often, as I know many of you do. And sometimes when a family member gets really anxious or they've got a lot of emotion around what's going on with the loved one, they try to kind of almost overwhelm us at times with the emotion. And what I've found to be really helpful is to actually stop, not try and fix anything immediately, but really to stop and really try and hear what's being said. So an example of that, I had a patient's family member who I called, and they were very concerned and frankly a little upset that certain things had happened in terms of the care of their loved one, medication changes, decisions around what tests she was going to get, what tests she wasn't going to get, treatments, etc. And as she was talking, rather than trying to defend what we were doing, which would be an easy, and frankly, that's what I used to do, is really defend what we're doing. Hey, I'm the doc. I really do understand what's going on. Really to hold myself together and really pause to say, can I hear this person and help them know that I really do want to hear what they have to say? And so, as this individual, as this family member was sharing, I was able to say, so can we just stop for a moment? Let me just make sure I've got what you've said. And I was able to reflect back in my own words, in my own language. This is what I hear you saying. Did I get that? And if I did get that, they'd say, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And then they would go on. Or they would say, no, that's not quite it. And I'd say, okay, can you help? Let's explain this some more to me so I can see if I can get this. So they know that I'm trying to actually get what that individual is saying, not just try to overwhelm them with my defenses or my knowledge or whatever it might be to move forward quickly through the process. Think about this in your, not just in your work environments, but even at home. If you can use this kind of mirroring skill, you can see people physically relax. These are skills that I've been using for some time, and I can physically see people say, okay, this person wants to hear me. And don't we all want that? I can tell you that the studies show that when people feel like they're heard, they feel valued. When they feel valued, they're more likely to be engaged. They're more likely to give you more information that is helpful and useful, that can actually lead to better solutions. It can feel like this takes some time, but I can tell you the time is well worth it. And so I would encourage you to try this. Just try it out and see what happens. Just say, so let me see if I got that. And if they come back and say, no, you didn't get it, it's like, that's okay. That's not an attack. It's really saying, okay, I didn't hear that. Maybe there's some other distractions going on. I'm going to pay more attention. Help me understand some more. Tell me some more so I can see if I can get that. So again, I really want to encourage you to think about how you pause. Again, that relaxes you, changes your body language, changes your tone, and then it allows the other person space and time to actually explain what they're actually going through and what their experience is. In those shared experiences, we build trust and we build safety. And so again, it's a great way for us to try and move ourselves forward in a team, in any relationship, to be able to actually have understanding, which then leads to a better, deeper relationship. And that also is the basis for why people stay in relationship. I hope this was helpful. I'd really encourage you to try and try this out. Let us know just email me, let me know. If you're interested in more of these, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, link to our website. We've got a newsletter. Love to get that out to you. And again, if you just want some other thoughts, or you want some other ideas, email me. And my email is in the description below, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Have a great day.